Well, hello everybody. Hopefully, you're seeing me. My guy Jamie Shuchuk's going to be along here very shortly, as we've got Colorado Mammoth After Hours going for you here. So, glad to have everybody along here this evening. I got to get some things tweeted out too, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Colorado Mammoth. Obviously, today we've got Connor Cook coming on. We've got TJ Cmizio, who was acquired at the deadline, played a big role in the Mammoth win a couple weeks ago. Now, the Mammoth are on their longest stretch away from Ball Arena currently right now. It's been, frankly, a little bit crazy, to be honest with you, because, I've done a lot of Mammoth games. I can't even remember how many years it is because it was broken up in between from like 2016, 2015. I did the winter, I guess, of 2015, and then I took a break when we got to the fall. And so it's been quite a few years. I got to say I'm close to 10 years doing the broadcast, if not a little bit more when you count in the early time that I did with them. And I've never seen them be a ball away from Ball Arena as much as they are. We had a bye week right after a nice win their last home game against Calgary, who had just picked up Nick Rose. So it was a big win for the Mammoth in that respect. And then they had a bye week right after that. Now we've got 3 straight road games. So they haven't been in quite some time. There's our guy Jamie. I'm going to go ahead and add Jamie to the stage, and pretty soon here, we'll be joined by TJ Cmizio, I believe. And so, Jamie, it should be a good night to catch up on the Mammoth. I was just saying to everybody here that, it's been crazy to me, Jamie, because I don't remember the Mammoth being gone this long. I mean, it's a month straight with the bye week and the 3 road games, and I know that home and away is not quite the same in this league because you're traveling for every game for a lot of guys anyway, but I'm sure the guys wish they could get one of these games inside Ball Arena, but they've held up all right going 1-1 so far.
Yeah, there's no doubt they want to be at home. Ball Arena, such a great place to play, obviously, but I feel like every team goes through stretches like this. I haven't looked at the schedule in depth to see if other teams have had literally a month away from home, but I feel like everybody kind of goes through this, and every team has their challenges, and such a interesting time of year. Um, we've been talking about this road trip for a while now, and they're in the midst of it. So, tough game this weekend. Obviously, Dylan Ward, I think, was a factor. Definitely missed last weekend. Great job by Whittam. 19-year-old goaltender, playing the way he did, I thought was great. But, just, it's a tough time of year right now for the Mammoth. There's big game. This is the biggest game of the year, clearly, coming up here in Saskatchewan this weekend.
Well, and Jamie, it's tough because, look, Whittam, I thought, did a really great job beginning of the game, gave his teammates confidence. I think you could speak to it better than I, but, you want to feel confidence from your goalie, right? You want to feel confidence from your quarterback, from your best player, whatever it would be. Now, Whittam didn't have to be their best player, but I thought he did a good job of showing the guys I'm ready for the moment early on in the game. And so I thought that was great. And then, you lose Connor Kelly for a second game. You were in it the first half, right? Good back and forth battle. Thought they were going to get it tied there, but fortunately Ryan Lee was in the back of the crease. But I thought they battled, and Ottawa, I know it's an expansion team. We're going to have TJ Cmizio join us here in just a second. I know it's an expansion team, man, but we remember it's not an expansion team. It's a relocated team. The New York Riptide do have a couple dudes that can play, and their goalie's pretty good. So, 1-1, I think you would have liked to have had them both, but 1-1's not bad considering how long you've been away, from Ball Arena. Let's talk more about that now with a guy that played in it, TJ Cmizio, who was acquired at the deadline. TJ, Jamie Shuchuk, I'm Andy Lindahl. Pleased to get to talk to you. We haven't even seen you in town yet. You've already played 2 games for the Mammoth. I saw your post-game speech after they gave you the belt after the win over, what was that, a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to remember who the first game was. I know who was it? Ottawa? Who did we do before
Philly.
Ottawa? There we go.
Philly.
How have you felt? How have you mixed in? You said the guys have welcomed you, but this has got to be a little bit weird coming from Georgia.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you guys virtually. But yeah, it was kind of a crazy week or two when it happened. I had gotten like a little bit of a heads up at the beginning of the week that I was probably going to get moved, but didn't really know where until it happened. And then, the Mammoth didn't have a game that first weekend. So I was just kind of at home, no game. And then the Philly game was the first, weekend that I traveled and met up with the team, and just kind of showed up to practice. Friday night was a lot of introductions, getting to meet people, the players and the staff, talking through some of the systems and stuff, and even just some like logistics stuff. So that first weekend was a little bit crazy. The second game was a little bit easier, and I already had met everyone, kind of knew what to expect coming in. But yeah, it was definitely a eventful couple of weeks. First time I've gone through that in my career, but the guys were great to me. Kind of welcomed me in, made me feel comfortable. Same thing with the coaches. Helped me kind of talk through stuff on and off the floor, and we're just like very kind of warm and open that first 2 weekends, and have made it a pretty easy transition. So I'm definitely grateful for that.
All right, real quick, and I know Jamie wants to talk some the nuts and bolts, as Jamie played in the league for a while, but we're familiar with you, right? I'm familiar with the game. We've called you in, the Georgia games, and we've seen you in Colorado a couple times the last couple of years. What are you hoping to bring to the team? What did Coach Coyle tell you you'd like to see you bring to the team?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think just kind of more of the same of what I've done in the past. Try to be a good solid on defense, and then kind of in the middle of the floor, picking up loose balls, kind of try to create some havoc there, and push some transition and try to create a little bit of offense. Hopefully nothing new or too crazy. It's just kind of more of what I've been able to do in the past that's made me successful at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel like, at the end of the day, you're playing lacrosse, right? No matter what team you're playing on in the league. But, you kind of mentioned earlier, just, very welcoming atmosphere, that kind of thing, in that locker room. But like, what is it about the Mammoth? I mean, obviously, the fans in Ball Arena are second to none. But like, what is it about this group that you've noticed? They're obviously a championship core, being the finals, being so close last year was a write-off we keep talking about. But, what is it about this Mammoth team that you're excited about, at this point of the year? And, are you guys hitting your peak? Do you feel like, it's one game at a time? Everybody talks about, it's every game's a playoff game this time of year. But what is it about this Mammoth team and the mentality that they have, starting at the helm with head coach Pat Coyle, and then obviously Robert Hope wearing the C?
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of take that in pieces there. I think, obviously, like you said, definitely a championship core. This is a team that, a couple of years ago won it all, and then the year after that lost in the finals. And there's a lot of guys in the room that were a part of that team. So obviously that's kind of exciting to get to join a group that's, had so much success recently and has the pieces to kind of make it happen again. The coaching staff as well. I mean, you mentioned Patty and Coach Bishop and Danny Mack have been great and helpful for me as well, and kind of getting acclimated. But yeah, I think, you mentioned all the pieces are there, which is exciting, even despite kind of the injuries. I guess what's been exciting for me coming in, I mean, as a new guy, I had heard that Zeddy was out, found out kind of right before I got there the first weekend that Eli was not going to be playing as well. And then kind of like the morning of the game, I found out that Connor Kelly wasn't playing either. But it was pretty cool to see. Like, there was no panic in the group, kind of no excuses. I think that starts with Patty and the coaching staff there, that they just kind of didn't allow it to be a distraction or an excuse. And it was just kind of like a next man up, and everybody's got to pull a little bit more weight, and just like real, professional from the group, just kind of going about their business that first weekend there without everybody. I think we did more of the same this past weekend in Ottawa. Obviously not the same result, but still kind of, proud of the fight. We could obviously have played a little bit better, but still, missing some key guys there. Was kind of excited to see how the group responded. I think it said a lot about the guys in the room.
Are you excited? I know you didn't get to do this last weekend because he's adding to his family, but are you excited to get to play with Dylan Ward?
For sure. I was fortunate in Georgia too to play with some good goalies, and Mike Poulin, and more recently, Brett Dobson. So, it always helps give you a little bit more confidence when you got a guy like that behind you that you know is going to bail you out more times than not. So, definitely excited to get the chance to play with Wardo.
I don't know if we lost Jamie there or not, but again, what's it like for you? What's it like when you get traded mid-season like this? I mean, again, I understand it's not the traditional, like you're in the locker room with the guys every day, but you know your group, and I know guys in other sports that I've talked to, it can be unsettling or whatever. What's your life like a little bit right now? You still finding your footing?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a big change. I got drafted by Georgia in 2019, so it was like the year before COVID. So it had been 5 or 6 years that I've been there, and a big part of that group has been there, is there now, and has been there since I got there. So you get it's 6 months, 5, 6 months out of the year, you're traveling every weekend with the same group of guys, seeing them, go to some of these guys' weddings, and, know their families and their kids and stuff like that. So, on the personal side of it, that was definitely tough. I had felt like I broke up with a handful of girlfriends that day I got traded, talking to all those guys I'd played with for a while that I wasn't going to be seeing again every weekend. But the flip side of that is, I was pretty excited about where I ended up. There's obviously different situations you could land in, but to land in a locker room like the one the Mammoth have, and on a team that's, still in the kind of thick of the playoff race and going to compete for a championship is certainly exciting as well.
Are you out of the group chat? When Nathan, I asked that because when the Avs lost Nazem Kadri after the cup run, Nazem like pieced out of the group chat right away. Was there a group chat with your guys? Are you out of that?
There was, like I said, I had a little bit of advance notice that it was going to happen, so I sent a nice message in the group just telling everyone what had happened, and then I left, so no one had the chance to kick me out. I left on my own.
Well, I feel like, yeah, teammates, I guess, when you get traded are like girlfriends. Yeah, see you later. There's always other ones. There's more girlfriends. There's more teammates out there. But I don't know, man. I think you landed on a great group. I think you had a great opportunity, and it'll be exciting to see what you guys can do. I mean, yeah, you have Saskatchewan twice. You have Buffalo, Calgary. Like, definitely not an easy stretch here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like where you guys stand right now. I mean, eight wins. We always talk about, once the unified standings became a thing. I felt like talking to guys. It's like if you get to 10 wins, you're okay, right? You're going to be in the playoffs, maybe some home playoff games. But I feel like at the end of the day, man, with the unified standings, like, get in the playoffs. And I think anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's changed a lot. Is that kind of the mentality you guys have? Like, just obviously it's one weekend at a time, but like, are you thinking about playoffs and how the unified standings kind of, could definitely bunch up at the end of the year?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, you're thinking about the playoffs, and it feels like 10 wins, you're right, is probably that like magic number that gets you in safely. I mean, we'd like to win them all, but like you said, we're just kind of taking them one at a time here. I mean, we got a big test this weekend going out to SAS to play a really good team there. And we'll just kind of go from there. I mean, like you said, it's going to be a tough 4 games here. A lot of travel and playing a lot of good teams. Hopefully we get as many of them as we can, but definitely you're kind of thinking about the playoffs, the closer we get to the end here. You see the standings and you see how close it is. So you know how much every game means. So, a big one this weekend, we hopefully come out on the right side of it.
You do know the Mammoth and Buffalo. I don't know if Buffalo views it this way, but they met in back-to-back championships. I'm sure you remember. It gets a little spicy in there. You ready for that? I know you're taking it one game at a time, but and look, SAS and the Mammoth had the whole Western Division. They all had something going with each other, right? So these next 2 games are probably going to be physical and spicy. You like that? Does it make it fun?
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun when when you have like some chippy, intense games like that, especially when you're playing in places with big crowds like Colorado's going to have for that Buffalo game, and like I'm sure Sask will have this weekend. So yeah, I think that's definitely an exciting factor. I mean, being my first time, in those kind of matchups, it'll be like kind of, fun for me to see how it unfolds and to kind of get myself involved, but definitely something I'm looking forward to.
You got a guy, though? You play in the league long enough. You probably you don't have to name him if you don't want to, but I'm sure there's guys on both teams that maybe you got maybe a little tired of. Or
I don't know if it's guys specifically, but certainly looking forward to the Buffalo matchup. I mean, that's in Georgia last year. That's the team that knocked us out of the playoffs on their way to win it. And they're the class of the league right now. They won twice in a row. So it's, always fun when you get to go up against a team like that.
TJ, man, we appreciate it. Welcome to Colorado. We look forward to seeing you on the floor there coming up here in a couple of Saturdays. You got business to handle first this weekend, as you talked about. So we'll be excited to say hello and get to meet you. And again, hopefully, go get one more and be in a good position when you get back to Denver. But we're excited to have you in town. Thanks for taking time today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Nice talking to you.
All right, bud. Thanks.
Bye.
That is TJ Cmizio. And for all the Mammoth fans, we're looking forward to have him. I think he brings a good veteran leadership. I don't know about you, but I think just another, you hear it right there, right? I mean, now look, Jamie, I talk about that, and Thomas Vella was talking like he'd been in the league 10 years when we talked to him a couple weeks ago as well. But it feels like TJ brings a nice presence in the room. Connor Cook joining us now as well, so we'll say hello to him. He's got some coaching to do. We just got done talking with TJ Cmizio. Now, look, you've been on this long road all season long, right, Connor? How's the road trip been for you? Jamie's been warning me all year. You guys are on this 3-game trip. Philly's not too hard to get to, but these aren't fun destinations to go to when it comes to air travel. How's it been?
Yeah, I mean, for air travel, and then I'm putting some mileage on the car too. I'm a couple hours away from an international airport, so it does add up. That's for sure.
Yeah, what's where are you living?
I'm in Lethbridge, Alberta. It's like
Lethbridge, Alberta. I love it. I thought you were somewhere there, southern Alberta. I'm an Edmonton guy, obviously.
Okay.
Been so anytime I know there's some Alberta influence there with Andrew McBride and
for sure.
Jimmy Quinlan, obviously, being Edmonton Sherwood Park guy. But it's great to see guys like you in the league, man. I love that, you've been scrapping your way along all year. I remember you scoring your first goal there, exciting breakaway, couple of fakes, a little dive, get the crowd into it. It's exciting, man. I feel like the Mammoth year by year, like find guys like yourself that just have that pedigree of just obviously competing, but just buying in, talk about what it's like being in that locker room, obviously established. We just talked about it with your teammate there, Cmizio, just obviously that championship core with Dylan Ward, Eli McLaughlin, Zed Williams, and, the list goes on. You guys got such a great core, but what is it like for a guy like you? You obviously you're a role player jumping in this team. You're one here. Like, what's it been like for you, man? It's been fun watching you from our point of view.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty surreal, like you said. Like I don't know. Like I hop into my first year in the NLL, and I'm surrounded by these guys. You look to your left and your right, like your stallmates, and I'm like, wow, like these guys just won a championship a couple of years ago, and I'm like, this is one of the best goalies in the world. This is one of the best D guys, one of the best O guys, and I'm like, just trying to soak it all up, be a sponge. I mean, like, there's so much to learn, and we have such a solid group of vets too. It's crazy. Like I like to pick their ear. I just try and listen as much as I can. So
now look, you kind of surprised me. I saw you after the nice win over Calgary, and I had said you were transition players. We're getting ready to do a post game. You're like, no, I'm not. I'm a defenseman. I've seen you get out and run. You've got wheels, but you take pride in the defense, huh?
Yeah, I mean, points wise, I mean, I wish I would like maybe contribute a little bit more in transition, but I mean, yeah, if I get the ball, I'll get on my horse and run it up there and drop it off to one of the O guys. That's for sure.
Yeah, you got to play your percentages, obviously.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Role player, right? You got to figure it out. But let's talk about the point of the season you guys are at right now. We've been talking about this for a couple months now. This road trip, clearly being away from Ball Arena. Home crowd is such an advantage for you guys. What's it been like so far? You got one more game in Saskatchewan. and then you got another home game coming up in a couple weekends here. But what's the road trip been like? Is there a shift in focus? How are you guys handling it? Obviously, it's we talked about Philly's obviously pretty far to travel to. East Coast teams, Saskatoon's not easy to get to. Maybe it is for you.
Yeah,
Probably quick drive over the border, right? I've been on a few places there, but what's the road trip been like, and just the mentality and the focus, where you guys sit in the standings this time of the year?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, just with how tight like the standings are, and you can't take a game off, you can't take a shift off. Like even these lower end teams that we've had trouble with, it's like they still have like elite level threats on the O side. Like you can't get caught sleeping. And now we're at the mentality where every game is like a do or die or playoff game, just with how tight it is. So I mean, we weren't too happy, that's for sure, with last week, but we're on to the next, and we'll take it one by one. But I know all the guys are very excited to get back home and play. So,
all right, what's your welcome to the NLL moment? Did you have to cover somebody? Were you D'ing up somebody you couldn't believe that you were in front of there, or what was it for you?
I would say probably it would be more so during preseason. We were under the lights in San Diego, and I'm like, I don't think it gets cooler than this, right? Good weather.
Practicing outside the night before, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I'd say that was one, because then I'm like, practicing outside. I'm in California, and we're about to play the Seals. I'm like, oh, shit's changed in the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
Well, all right. So then what's been like when somebody, and maybe you don't even processed it yet, but this is what we do in the media, so you got to get used to it, Connor. When somebody, your grandkids, whoever, asks you about what you want, the memory from the rookie year, and hopefully the best ones to come when you lift the cup, but what would it be to this point?
I would say I really take pride, and I want to be someone that the boys can rely on. Just being a rookie defender, I want them to be comfortable with me on an island with some of these top guys. Like, I don't want them to have to think, oh, like we might need to help here. I just want to be reliable, and I want to keep earning my keep and getting bigger minutes. And I don't know, I'm not satisfied, but it's been pretty cool to be in for every game. So that's definitely a huge thing for me.
Who's been your biggest influence on that? Like, who's the guy in practice? I mean, you got a lot of vocal guys there in the back end, but like, who's been the guy? I know you're a right-hander. I know sometimes you guys like to play kind of pairs, right? You're matching up against lefty O guys, right? I know Gillis is over there, guys like that. You got Warren Jeffrey, you got Robert Hope, but like, who's been your influence in practice that you're like, this is the guy I can actually go talk to, and he's gonna actually help me, kind of thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I got on the right side there. I like to go and pick Damon Edwards here, and then Gillies is like a no-brainer for me. Like I remember watching him, and now I'm like getting shifts with him. So like
he's the nicest guy ever.
So yeah, you could go to him with anything, and he's gonna have a smile on his face. So he's very approachable, and he's like so knowledgeable. So I mean, like I just like to kind of just go at him, just keep picking till he tells me, hey, relax. So.
All right, real quick, we're gonna a couple more. We'll let you go. You're coaching. Who are you coaching?
I'm in Calgary. I came up a couple nights before our SAS flight. I'm with the Junior A Mounties. So,
you enjoying it?
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, I haven't been here that much, but the head coach Cody Hawkins he's out east right now, and he shot me a text and he goes, "Hey, would you help out the defense today?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." I mean, I honestly got a sweat going. I was kind of buzzing around too. So
is that who you played for Junior A? You're a Mounties guy, huh?
Yeah.
Man, a little bit of history here, okay?
Yeah.
Back in the day, all right, 2003 was the first year that Alberta went Junior A. Okay.
Yeah.
We had Edmonton Miners, we had Calgary Raiders, and then the Mountaineers joined, all that kind of stuff. So it's been great to see, man. Like I love Andrew McBride's influence.
For sure.
With the Mammoth, there's been guys, Josh Sullivan, John Lintz, guys like I love seeing the Alberta guys. So I hope you guys know the history, of what happened back in the day, and why you're getting these opportunities. But it's great to see, guys like yourself giving back, and don't ever like underestimate yourself, man. When you're there coaching, those guys look up to you and value what you're doing. So, just make sure you're enjoying it. And it sounds like you do. So,
I love it. Yeah.
Love to see it.
Sometimes, I'm like, I should probably be coaching right now. And I'm just trying to like get some reps in too. So,
all right, you guys need to help me out. Help out your American friend, okay? Nobody needs to boo me here. Saskatoon and Saskatchewan. What the hell is the difference? I don't. I've never been to either. I don't even think it's either. What makes you choose to call it one or the other?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, one's the province and one's the city.
All right,
which is a big factor.
So Saskatoon is the bigger area, and Saskatchewan is the city.
Other way around.
Other way around.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Saskatchewan is the size of Texas, Andy.
Okay.
Our provinces are massive. Okay. Saskatoon is a tiny little city, but
you don't get into the media because you love geography. All right. I'm trying to figure out, but they get all. Then it's Sass. We've gotten in trouble for calling it Sass from like the league in the past. I mean, what?
Oh, I mean. I usually say Sass myself, so that's good. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there's a couple. I know our friend John Gallant likes to say Saskatchewan. I say Saskatchewan.
That's how I say.
I also think Calgary, is it Calgary or Calgary?
Right? You see, I say Calgary, and I get heat about that too. So,
yeah, man. I've been gone for too long. I've changed my vocabulary, but that's something that I'm like, it's Calgary. It's Calgary.
Yeah.
Listen, we do this with Tracy Kaluski. There's about 1,000 words that we all get in trouble for. Connor, man, good stuff. Great that we could get you on. We're happy that you're having a great, fun rookie year. Stay healthy, please. You guys need guys back. Not anybody else checking out, but have a great game this weekend in Sass. We'll talk to you when you get back to the Loud House.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me.
All right. Yeah, dude, I got to be – see, if I were rich, Jamie, the problem is neither one of us is so independently wealthy. What I'd like to do – because, again, my history with this, I'm an American field player. I've not done a lot. Our box experience, I've told you, the most box I got to play, I remember I had a coach that had a vision for this like in the early 90s, and in order for us to play year-round, he like rented out these indoor soccer fields. There was one off Sheridan and Evans, and we go play on this indoor soccer turf with a couple small goals he would find. But that was it, man. It was not, it was like we had an actual soccer goal behind the goal. So there were all sorts of wild rules. I'd like to actually go see the roots of this game in some of these junior teams that you talked about. If I was rich and could take a bunch of time off, I'd have all you guys go and just take me to a few different barns so I could see this up close.
Well, there's no doubt. And obviously you hear, the passion I have for Alberta lacrosse is, we're not the hotbed like it was in Ontario and BC. The history is definitely BC and Ontario. But I just think of the opportunity to be able to play this great game and the history. Yeah, like the Minto Cup is, I think the Minto or the Man Cup is like the oldest trophy in Canada, right? Like it goes back to the early 1900s, and you've heard of the Burnaby Lakers, Junior A, Victoria Shamrocks, Coquitlam Adirondacks right out west, and then you have your Peterborough Lakers, Orangeville Northmen, St. Catharines, there's so many, I don't know. It's exciting for me. And that's one thing I agree with you. Like there's a lot of Americans when you hear lacrosse, you think East Coast,
right?
You think these big prep, big schools, that kind of thing. And it's just a different culture. Right. And that's what it's about for the Canadians, but
listen, it's a very different culture.
It's a different culture, man. But there's so many of us that have ended up in the U.S. and it's great. Like I said, it's awesome to see Connor Cook coach and giving back to Lethbridge where he grew up. I think that's why Alberta lacrosse has gotten better, over the years too, with guys like him, Andrew McBride, John Lintz. They're at the helm there, so that's why they've been successful.
What are some of these like what are the floors like for the people that don't? Because like I'll see some. I told you I like the Victoria Shamrocks. They've got a fun marketable jersey for us with Irish blood. but it looks like they're playing on what I would relate it to like a skate city roller skating floor. I mean, like it doesn't even look like turf.
It's concrete. You're
Yeah.
playing on concrete. And I played there. Yeah, Victoria. Like, you want to talk about history? Gary, Paul Gate, right? The Gate brothers, and there's a lot of other names. Kevin Alexander. Tom Marechek played there. Like, there's guys. But yeah, that's what we play on. Like turf. I never played on turf until I played in the NLL. I played in Burnaby. I played in Vancouver. It's just smooth concrete. You take out the ice. There's no ice in the winter. There's no, air conditioning. So it's hot and sweaty and humid, especially in Ontario. Playing in Orangeville, as a road team, it's not fun. But yeah, you play on smooth concrete and you don't know any different. And you get on turf and you're like, oh, it's pretty nice.
If I were to ask you, you're welcome to the NLL moment, what was it? Was there a guy you D'd up? Man. Was there a goal you scored on? What would it have been?
Well, I definitely wasn't D'ing anybody up, but no, I remember I was a healthy scratch. Game 1 was a road game. And then we had our home opener in Pepsi Center, sold out, over 18,000 fans. And it was scoring my first goal. And I remember It was a pick and roll. Dan Carey gave me the pass. I caught it. I knew I had to shoot right away, and I shot it, and I got hit. And that was one of my concussions playing the NLL. So I remember half of it. So that was my welcome to the NLL moment, because I remember scoring my first goal. I remember my teammates grabbing me. I remember being all kind of out of it, and how loud it was there. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. I want to do this again.
Do you know who hit you?
I have no idea, but all I remember is it was against Pat O'Toole, who's Hall of Fame, legendary goaltender. Playing against John Grant Jr., which was, one of my favorite old guys growing up. And I remember just being so excited for that game. And Dan Carey, ended up being a good, great friend of mine. He's a GM of the Rochester Nighthawks now. And so I would say that was definitely my welcome to the NLL moment, for sure.
Are these? What did you think of the Ottawa? We'll wrap it up after this here. But what did you think of the Ottawa State? It looks like arena, I should call it, but the Ottawa Arena looks like it's got some really, really nice turf.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks different. I know, like some of it's like carpet, right? Like I feel like the Mammoth, like it's more like a carpet, and because when you go in and you play on some of these outdoor turfs, it's more like the artificial grass almost, so it's like thicker and longer,
flubber stuff, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I feel like Ottawa had that version of it, but no, I mean, what a great game. And again, we talk about it, obviously without Dylan Ward in your lineup, but you're giving your 19-year-old draft pick an opportunity to start. And I thought he did well. I thought he hung in there. You're playing against the best player in the world, Jeff Teets. Absolutely.
Jeff Teets is no fun day for your first start.
He had like 19 points in 2 games this weekend. And you're like, you guys dream of doing. I think he had 11 goals, right, in 2 games. So, so you're going up against that. I think it just, overall, because Ottawa dropped that game on Friday, and then they had a day to recover, and obviously had a home game against the Mammoth. But I just think it was unfortunate circumstances for the Mammoth playing a team like that. We always talk about that, like, they're dropping these games to the lower level, teams at the bottom of the standings, which is not ideal. It's definitely something they're not going to be happy about. But, I think they're, where they stand, I think it's just, you learn, you look at film, you adjust some things, but it's like, again, it's playoff time, right? And they're playing really good teams, these last few games of the year. So I think not ideal. I expected them to win that one in Ottawa. But I think it was just a combination of, facing a desperate team, a pissed off team, right, after losing. And then you have Jeff Teat in the lineup, and,
Listen, you said it best. It's a desperate team. The broadcasters kept saying they got to have this game. They got to have this game. So,
yeah,
and they got the game. It is too bad. Like you said, I think we both thought they'd probably get the Ottawa one, because you look at the record, and I'm not going to say I've watched a lot of Ottawa prior to them being on the Mammoth schedule. I haven't, but look, it is what it is. Saskatchewan did lose one, this past weekend. So got to go in and handle business there. They're not unbeatable. If you're Colorado, like you just said it, just get to the 10 mark and see where the chips fall. If you get to 10 and it's not good enough, then I guess so be it, right? But you got to feel like with where the standings are at, if you get to 10, you're probably in pretty good shape.
No, I agree. And I think at this point too, if you look at Buffalo, Saskatchewan, they've clinched playoffs, right? It'll be interesting to see, do they rest guys? How do they approach this last half of the season where the Mammoth are, injury riddled, Eli McLaughlin factor, right? And it's like all these next men up and they're doing great, but how many next men up do you have, right? And that's the challenge with the Mammoth at this point, where I feel like Buffalo and Saskatchewan can kind of take okay, we're in, right? And they've clinched that, where the Mammoth and those teams that are hovering, basically from third to eighth place, is such a shuffle this time of year. So they're pushing hard. So it'll be interesting to see how these teams approach this last half of the season. 5-6 games left.
Yeah, I won't be mad if they want to rest some guys, because like you said, they got to get Connor Kelly healthy. You're already down enough. Although I think Tyson Gibson, I meant to ask you about that. I felt like Tyson Gibson asserted himself a little more each game. I'm liking what Tyson Gibson is doing. He's showing that he wants to be the man in Zed's absence. I think that's a good deal. I don't know. There are the rumors out there, and we even got a chance to talk about it with Teddy Jenner when he was on, that people thought maybe Tom Schreiber was going to be heading this way. It turns out that wasn't the case. And then I see Tom Schreiber goes on the IR. So maybe it's better that that's not what went down there. And look, Schreiber probably wasn't going to hang around anyway, right? So I ain't mad about that. I just would have been fun. There have been a lot of great lacrosse players that have come. I don't have to tell you, you got to play with some of them. We had your old buddy Gavin Pratt on a couple weeks ago. We'll aim to get Brian Langtree on. I may reach out to Casey Powell just because he's a great lacrosse name, but we'll see. I don't know, Jamie. Hopefully, you know what? It'd be great if they could come home and say they were 2-1. So let's hope they go up there. Sass, you battled Sass. Sass, though, has had some pretty good games. I remember Sass they put on a little bit of a show that first game after the Mammoth. Remember when the Mammoth won the championship and Sass was the first game on the schedule the week after, or the season after. So we'll see. But hey, man, they're in the thick of it. That's all you can ask. All right, my friend. I guess we won't see it. I will talk to you next week, but we won't see you at the arena. So
I won't be there, unfortunately.
You'll be there in spirit.
I'll be watching.
All right. He's Jamie Shuchuk. I'm Andy Lindahl. We'll talk to you next week on Mammoth After Hours. Good night, everybody.